All right, welcome folks. Milspec Monkey here. It's going to be Monday, 11 a.m., 6/27/2022, as we are flying through this year. And without further ado, let's hop over the board. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification so you get the latest and greatest. And also, don't forget about the app. It's a free download, and it'll give you all the pushes you need and anything that we actually load up from a Werx perspective. You'll get notification and have access to it all in nice one little bundled package. So again, that's free 90 free. All right, let's hop over here to the board. We're going to kick it off as always in Skyglass. Again, if this is an app that you want or you want to follow along using this app, you can do so. Just go out there to avrlabs.com and just download it. It's about $5 a month, but the access of stuff you're going to get is insane. As you can see my watch list over here, I've got things broken down into nice little bundles, and I can actually see what aircraft are up through that and do a lot of other stuff too. Like, for example, I can tell you where things were at their last location. Just kind of neat, just from a quick visual look. And so we'll continue to watch the aircraft that I have on this watch list, but we always add to it and talk about other things as well. But nonetheless, let's just kind of look at our watch list this morning. Notice this one here, this Zulu 82. We were watching this over Yuma last week, and it is a new drone. I don't know what kind it is. Based on airspeed, it's running about 20 knots, which is pretty low in terms of speed. Almost makes you wonder if it's an intel balloon, but it's given a signature that's a little different than a normal intelligence balloon. As you see, these balloons here, military intelligence balloons, are just sitting stationary. They don't move. They're very, very high altitude, 80, 90,000 feet. This one is down a little lower. It's, let's see, 66,450, which is still, it's pretty up there. But it is kicking out over the Gulf of Mexico right now. Again, coming out of Yuma, I just thought that was an interesting data point for you. Definitely now on our watch list, and one we'll continue to watch. What it is and what it does, I have no idea. So then you see these grays, 2844s. These are going to be Army intelligence. I know for us Air Force guys that's an oxymoron, but endlessly they are out there all the time, right along that border running. Again, these are the ones that have all of the nice little doodads hanging off of them. Antennas everywhere, kind of coming at you like a peacock, but running right along this general area. And again, just one that we continue to watch. Little E6 up, that's going to be your TACAMO, take charge and move out, just getting airborne out of Oklahoma. And those are actually talking to your ICBMs, all right? Now, one of the things I did the other day, I made a mistake, and I'm just going to correct it real fast because I don't know what I was thinking. C2 versus E2. I just want to show you. I was talking about C2s, or actually meaning to talk about E2s, which is this aircraft right here. It's a little Navy variant, kind of broken down, smaller of an AWACS, like our E3s, but this thing is made for the Navy kind of footprint where they can get in and out of off of carrier decks and stuff. So anyway, same kind of aperture at the top there, right? It's got that dome. It's made for doing some air traffic control when they're out there in that open water. But it, I am sure, has the same capabilities as the E3 in terms of what they can do looking downward. So I was looking and pointing at C2s, and I meant to talk about E2s, and I just got my wires mixed. So it's a quick correction on that. A little bit of grace. All right, now let's hop back over here. This is, notice we've got some B703s. This is going to be your J stars or joint stars. A couple P8s up. This is a SAM flight. That's going to be one of your blue and whites. Probably, there ain't no telling who that is at this point. But, and then a couple, this here, Shady, is also another military intelligence bird that's out there just kind of dinging around. Notice the only thing up here, P8s, P3s, those are sub hunters, all right? Okay, now if we look at, I'm going to kind of expand that list. I just want to show you as we take a little deeper look at the watch list, just to show the other aircraft, Homeland Security, the Phoenix Airs, things of that nature. There's a B-52 that's right up on the kind of the border of the U.S. and Canada border. There are those flights we're talking about. Here's some of the intelligence. Now that's a PC-12, which is going to be Border Patrol, and then that one I just showed you is actually going to be Phoenix Air. Another more Border Patrol. As we get over here, again, another one, Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol. Same thing here. And then this is actually Kansas Highway Patrol. It's just under support operations. So that's what it's, only reason we're showing that. There's that SAM we're talking about, that blue and white, looks to be taking off out of the southeast, headed northbound. And then more Homeland Security. So, okay. Now that's how we look here. Let's go over here to Europe real fast and just show you what we've got. Back this bad dude up some. There are those E3s, right? The Sentries. That's going to be a tower ground station. Those are E3s. Again, running routes there over Hungary in that general area, Macedonia. And again, there are those GAFT aircraft or balloons. There's another E3 there over UK. But those GAFT are German Air Force, right? They are military intelligence balloons that are just sitting aloft at about 62,700 foot level, and they're not moving at all. They never move. So they are basically watching the people there in Europe. They have a very broad range. They're probably watching all of Europe, I'll be honest with you. But again, you can look at them here on ours. There are our variants right here. All of these tall, high ones right here. And this one way back here in the back. Military intelligence. So we are basically watching them watch us, all right? So, and they, like, again, up there, 90,000 foot or feet over, let's see, that's going to be over Lynn Haven, Florida, all right? So, again, heavy duty surveillance and intelligence going on. We kind of expect that. From our own government perspective, it's not a surprise. But go over here to Europe real fast and see as we're looking at our list if we've got anything new. Now, we do have a P3. Looks like that one is breaking out over, looks like kind of the Mediterranean area. And then we've got another one out here over this general region. Now, remember, too, they've got the G7 summit going on out here in Madrid, Spain. And so you're probably going to have a little fighter coverage and stuff like that as well, okay? All right, so let's get out of Skyglass. Let's take a look at, I say get out of Skyglass. Let's get out of this screen. We're going to go look at the last, let's look at the heavy lifts real fast, just to show you. Across the U.S., East Coast centric, as always. This is, we're probably about 3.5 months now of watching them just kind of build up assets and resources on the East Coast. Again, South Carolina, Virginia, it's up there in Norfolk. And then a couple of things kind of sliding out there to the West Coast. You can see some things assets going into Texas, then a couple things out here. Beale Air Force Base seems to have a little bit of an uptick too, as well. Look at those, and let's get over here to Europe, kind of get a general census of what's going on there. Again, right there over that Constanta area, down there near Macedonia, and then not too much going down in the Middle East right now. I'm not seeing anything, at least from the last 24-hour tracks. And we get up here, Denmark and Finland, stuff going on up in the Baltics. Like they're still continuing to provide assets up there. Again, that's going to be your heavy lifts. And, of course, right over there into Spain and Portugal, right? Now, from the refueler perspective, got one out there over Beale Air Force Base. Again, there's a little bit of an uptick there of activity. And then East Coast up here over kind of the Delaware, a little north of Delaware. And then over in the European side of the house, of course, you're going to see them over Spain and Portugal because that's where the G7 summit's going on, right? So they're going to be doing some stuff. And then Constanta, as always, right? So that's going to be our two main ones. Now, if we look at the roll-up here, the 24-hour roll-up of everything kind of combined from an air refueler to the heavies, you can see the activity. It kind of paces itself out. It's not as heavy as we've seen in the past. But again, it seems like they've got some fighters in that region over Spain and Portugal. And then as we get down, you can really see it. It is pretty evident. Everything is to the right. All right. Okay. On to our flight radar 24 and look at the ash alerts. Uh, things are kind of popping here. We got Japan firing. We've got Dukomo down here in Semaru, and thank God I was putting my mouse and cursor over things I could pronounce. Uh, that's going to go away here pretty quickly. And notice this one, we got this up in Alaska firing, and then we've got 4 down here in Central and South America. So we're up to 8 today, which is a little higher than we've been watching. And so we'll continue to watch it and see what happens if these blow a lot more ash, or if they start to chill out a little bit. They kind of pop on and off. So again, just eyes on. All right, over here to Flashbang schedule today. He is clearly over in at the G7 summit in Kroon, Germany, is what this is saying. Interesting, because I thought everybody was in Madrid, Spain. Yeah, right here in Madrid, Spain. That's at 9:30 this morning. So, okay, everybody's on the move. All right, now over to the UN. I just want to show this one. This is Breitbart, the latest, and as they are saying, global food shortages, this guy is now saying, are going to be catastrophic. So you're talking about a massive amount of people that are going to be going without. They say now they're expecting it now coming up in 2022 as we get into the summer months and into the late summer side of it, and then into next year. So they're already projecting this is not coming back on anytime soon. The next probably 24 months is getting ready to, just replicate this over and over, and it's only going to get worse. So, okay. So that's the UN chief talking. Now, here's the other thing, too. This I find very interesting. As the G7 summit gets together and they just keep pounding at Russia, this, for the first time, Russia defaults on its foreign debt since 1918. Here's what's kind of, I guess, the irony of this. Who do you think the foreign debt defaulted to? $100 million. Oh, yeah, that would be us, the U.S. So basically, we put sanctions in place against them so they can't pay their debt, and but the debt goes to the U.S., and it's $100 million. So guess we just got shorted $100 million because of our sanctions. So who do you think paid for that one? Yeah, us. Absolutely. So just goes to show you the stupidity that is in abundance today, right? All right, now let's get over here to this one I find interesting. Explosive report, it confirms basically the expansive CIA stealth network of spies and commandos inside of Ukraine. They've been there for a long time. Notice here, this says 8-year-long covert program to train Ukrainian fighters. Folks, they've been doing this kind of stuff forever and a day. The whole idea was to instigate and provoke something with Russia. Check this out. You go back and look at who's an election interference from the U.S. perspective. And this is from 1948 to 2019, South America. But look at this, electoral interference from 46 to 2000. Yeah, Ukraine's right there on it. United Kingdom, Uruguay. We have been interfering and running governments around the world for quite some time. And so to see this report bubble in is not a shocker. We kind of expected it. And of course, where they got all their gear, their nods and everything else, which I find interesting that they're using nods in the daylight. That's obviously a photo op. All right. So as we talk a little bit about that, let's get into kind of what's going on, Middle East, Ukraine, etc. As we look at the TFRs and the NOTAMs that are out right now. Now, notice this one is kind of a new one. Just popped on June 23rd. It's going to run till September 23rd. And that's right off the coast of Israel. So you've got Israel right here, but this off of Beirut. Very, very active. Notice, too, all of the boxes here with Turkey. Turkey's just announced they're getting ready to go back into Syria. And so I'm sure we're going to watch things start to heat up here just north of Israel, which has got to make them pretty nervous, right? Okay, now we back this up a little bit, and we're going to talk some about this. This box right here, this is over, this is in Belarus. Now, you may have watched my Monkey Minute yesterday where I was talking about Russia is about to provide Belarus nukes, okay? And so that's pretty much a done deal. They said in the coming weeks and months, they're going to be mobilizing units and pushing them into Belarus. And so now Belarus becomes a nuclear nation. And, of course, they are highly aligned with Russia. And so But this spot just north, if you'll notice, we are starting to see strikes coming into Kiev. That would confirm what we were talking about the other day, that this is a watch area, that they're probably getting ready to make a move into Kiev. It looks like that's starting to take place. So I would imagine we're going to see an uptick in activity going here because that's their main city. Once they take over that city, everything else will probably just collapse and fall. So eyes on that one. Now let's get over here to the U.S. as we look at the things we've got going on here. Now there are some new ones on the box. This one here, just to the right of Cincinnati, June 27th. That one is active for today. That is Operation Buckeye. Notice it doesn't say exercise. I found that wording very interesting, to say the least. And then here we've got two of them scheduled. Cannon, a military operating area active. Let me back up. There was another one I was just looking at. Of course, these are drones over Dallas. And let's see. Looked at that one, Cincinnati. We know we have these. These are kind of ongoing, active over the Senior Living Center, Brown Zone. Couple of new ones here. Jackson, Mississippi, that's going to be a mill op today, 27th. It ends at noon. But just quite a few of those going on around here in the U.S. Another one up here in Minneapolis. That one looks to be kicking off military operation the 27th. Again, these are all like 6-hour windows of operation, which I find a little interesting. So, all right, that kind of give you a lowdown of where we are at the moment in terms of NOTAMs and TFRs. Very, very active around the world. Again, most of these are military operations. There may be a couple fireboxes in there, but for the most part, mill ops. Okay. All right. Now let's go over and take a quick gander. This is actually the war zone. Russians renew missile attacks from Belarus. Again, we were just talking about that, right? When I was just saying, looking at the stuff coming in from Kiev. This is Belarus right here, right? This is that zone we're watching, and that's us, the attacks, okay? So it just kind of confirms that the areas that we've been watching and talking about we're over the target, okay? All right. Now, I find interesting, they just pledged solidarity with Ukraine. Now, there is such a roll-up and of stuff that goes with that. The funny thing is, Ukraine they cannot get into, or they're actually not allowed to actually join NATO because of their corruption, because they've been caught human trafficking and all kinds of different stuff. We'll talk on that here in just a little bit further detail. But it is interesting that here we are pledging all this support. Why? Why would we do that? Because there are so many self-interest in Ukraine. As we know, they've been set up shop, at least the U.S. has, back just after World War II, and we've been there ever since, right? And so for us to just pledge all this stuff, yet they're not good enough to come in and be part of NATO, doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Now, here's the other thing that really gets me, and this, I'm going to just play this little soundbite for you. This is all tied to the Roe v. Wade piece, right? I want you to hear this comment, and then let's just take a look as we talk about this, because I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about Ukraine and the things that have been going on there for quite some time. All right. So, all right. Now listen to this. This is Flashbang.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it. They simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans. But they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
Sad day for the court and the country. So Joe, clearly, who I guess describes himself as a Catholic who's supposed to be pro-life, is definitely not pro-life. He's just the opposite of that, okay? Doesn't believe in protecting the innocence of children in the womb. But yet, here we go. Tell me how this works out. This is the Beau Biden Foundation for the Protection of Children. Almost, talking out of both sides of his mouth, right? So one minute he's saying, hey, if you're in the womb, we don't recognize you as a child, and we're for murdering you. But yet we got a whole foundation that is all about the protection of children. So doesn't make a lot of sense, does it, folks? Well, when you start looking at the port traffic and the things that are going on over there, it will start to make a little more sense. Check this out. Now, this is just going to be a data byte for you, all right? Or a data point, sorry. This is Constanta. It's the only port right now that they're able to get anything in and out of. There is a little smaller port up here that's probably functioning as well, but this is the main port where they're flowing goods in and out, and they have protection out here. But notice this. I want to show you this, kind of go back a little bit. This is a report that came out in December of 2003. Now, remember, we put Zelensky into play in 2016, all right? And that, when we talk about putting Zelensky into play, that falls right into this whole piece. As we talk about electoral interference, et cetera, the U.S. basically went in and helped overthrow the sitting president in Ukraine, and we put Zelensky in place, okay? And so... Now remember, that's 2016. Now in December 2003, there was a giant write-up here, 89 pages by the Department of Justice about human trafficking out of Ukraine. And yes, you guessed it, they come through these countries between Romania and Bulgaria. Those are the two biggest export locations of where they're getting people out of Ukraine. Human trafficking is a massive, massive deal in Ukraine. They are probably, Belarus is actually number one, but Ukraine is right up there in the top, probably 15 in the world. And so, big, big, big deal. And so you wonder why we have all of this support over Constanta. It kind of starts to make sense, doesn't it? All right. So let's break over here real fast. I just want to show you C202. Remember, this is a guy that was bouncing all over the place. He's been around the world. This is going to be your Secretary of Homeland Security. Currently now just left D.C. He just landed in Greenville, South Carolina, 1 hour, 41 minutes ago. And so that's just one that we watch, all right? So we'll continue to watch that. But let's talk now. We were talking about the water. I know I just kind of bounced over because that tab was in the wrong location. But let's take a look here real fast while we're talking about Constanta and the water. This is the port of L.A. and Long Beach. Notice it has thinned out quite a bit. These ships that are coming inbound, the only thing that I'm seeing coming from Asia is Hong Kong. I'm not seeing anything out of Shanghai, which is the busiest port, and that's the one where you're usually getting most of our stuff out of. So we're going to zoom in a little closer here. Just take a look at what's going on outside of Shanghai. Racked and stacked, just on top of each other. All right, but it's not coming here. Now check this out. Those boats, I don't know what those are, those vessels. Fishing boats, they're unidentified, but they're not tankers. They're not cargo ships, but there is a bunch of them. All right, now notice here goes that flow. You can see it as you back up a little bit, rolling in here and up here into Beijing area. So China appears to be just basically getting their stuff squared away. The rest of the world is not getting the flow coming out of China. In terms of goods, and that means we're at about month 4 in terms of supply chain woes, okay? Because it's not going to get better for a while. All right, now that's Colombo in Sri Lanka, and it is still very, very quiet. Again, there's some of these gray ships down there on the south. Same deal. I don't know what they are. I assume they're probably fishing trawlers or something along those lines. And then here's the Black Sea. Notice the flow of goods running right in there. Nothing interrupted. Going in and out of Russia, but Constanta, that's that spot we were just talking about, and human trafficking. And I think that may be what's going on here, folks. Okay, so we're looking at that. Again, the China piece seems to be flowing just internally along their seaboard there. They don't, or they're not, haven't yet sent anything to the west coast of U.S., And so, again, 4 months. And so you're going to probably start to see all of those shortages now starting to come to fruition because we are definitely burning down on inventories. Most places aren't going to carry, a year's worth of inventory. They're going to, ideally, they carry month to month. But if it's coming longboat or slowboat from China, then they may add a little more because of to offset the lead time away. But we should start to see things now where they're just going to be hard to get, okay? And that's not including food. This is a totally separate issue. All right. So let's get over to the military vessels. take a quick gander. I did see a sub departing out of the East Coast. See if it's still out there, if it's disappeared. But there was there it is. There's that submarine an hour ago. Looked like it was rolling out. Most of this stuff in here is Coast Guard. But let's get over here to Europe. Now, I saw someone just made the point that we've got our ships, our Navy is deployed at the largest amount they've ever been deployed since the history of the Navy, so to speak. So I think since like 1938 or some kind of crazy number. But it looks like we've got a lot of stuff out, okay, which would be a pretty good indicator or a lead up to the fact that we are about to go hot on a war. This is Black Sea. Again, you can see a lot of protection here around that port of Constanta. These are going to be the Russian stuff on this side of the house. All right, and if we get up here to this other port that is kind of in contention right here, Kaliningrad, you can see really not too much going on here. There seems to just be a giant void, like everybody's staying out of the area. So, again, we'll continue to watch this. What we're looking for when there is a pretty good indicator that things are very close to kicking off, you will see a lot less circles and a lot more arrows because everybody's going to get their ships out of port. So they don't have their own little mini Pearl Harbor on their hands, okay? All right, move on. Over here to Biggs Army Airfield, I wanted to show you there was an interesting flight came in. Now, this is just kind of the roll-up. Last time we got together was Friday. We didn't have really too much coming and going. We did have on Saturday, though, this flight come in from Valley, Texas. It's an Eastern Airline flight, rolled into El Paso. Important because that is border town to border town, and I am guessing that they basically took a bunch of folks that had come across the border and brought them to this immigration camp that's up here at Biggs Army Airfield. My guess is that camp is now switching back over from poppies, probably back to coconuts and bananas. They don't intermix them because of the faith thing. I just don't see them doing that. So it looks like this section or location has kind of been reinstated based on the flows of aircraft back over to the southern border support. Okay, and for those that don't remember, that is a massive tent city. I think it holds about 15,000 people. So very, very large. All right. Okay, over here to the Reach aircraft. Just show you we got a couple coming inbound. Looks like this one's coming out of Berlin, and these two were last seen near St. John's up here. And so, actually, sorry, over here. Looks like that one is just took off too. That's the one coming out of Berlin. All right. So the Reach, those are going to be C-17s more than likely. Just doing either heavy cargo lifts or troop movement. More than likely it's cargo, because if it was troop, it'd probably be showing as a camber flight. Which takes us to these. These are going to be your camber flights. And currently only have one showing down here on the board, but two in flight. This looks to be taking off out of Dover, headed across the drink. It's currently at 31,000 feet, 610 miles an hour. And then this one, let's just delve into it a little bit to see where it's coming from. All right, so it came out of Germany over to Tucson, Arizona. So that's probably going to be troops coming inbound. Returning home. Okay. All right. Over to the Royal Air Force. Just see what they have got going on. It looks like they've got one coming out of the border of Canada, headed back home. Sorry, that one's coming from home to border of Canada, and then we've got quite a bit of movement here within Europe, and then down here into the Middle East. Remember, this is Israel right here. This one looks to be taking off out of Cyprus. Climbing out, he's about 15,400 foot at 481 miles an hour. All right. Over to the Ruskies. We got one on the board. And he's not showing. Let me back up. There he is. All right. Looks like he's headed up here to St. Petersburg. And where did he come out of? I don't know where that is. That's kind of an interesting location, but let's see if we can get it to pull up for us. We can get a closer look. All right. Tajikistan, or Tajikistan. I'm not even going to try it. I tried it. That was it. Closest I'm going to get. All right. So it looks like he's taking off out of there, headed up more than likely up here to St. Petersburg. he could be rolling into Moscow. We'll watch, see what happens there. But looks like they had some activity going on down here. And over to Omni. This is going to be more than likely, these are troops. Everything I'm seeing on here, this is going into Japan. Looks to be troop movement. Same thing here. Looks like we got more troops going across the drink. Now, NATO just said they're going hot with to their level of high alert, and they're going to add 600,000 more troops. I don't know if you saw, but the Army just put out a notification. They're allowing anybody to come into the Army now. Whether you have a GED or high school diploma, they don't care. Don't even have to have that. They'll take you. They're looking for bodies, folks. That is not a good scenario when it comes to fighting a war, because that means we're probably getting ready to go to war. The next step you would see is probably a draft coming. So when they start just taking anybody, that's cannon fodder, and not good, because that's again a pretty good indicator that they are fully expecting to go to war, and we're going to lose a lot of people. So, okay, let's go on over here to, this is going to be our Swift errors. Now the board just cleaned itself. It was sitting at about a dozen flights. Everything this morning looks to be south of the border. This is going Miami to Bogota, Colombia, and these look to be coming down from the border town. Now I did see some reports that confirmed that these folks are also flying people in the middle of the night all over the U.S. So it looks like we are basically picking and choosing who we allow in, we don't allow in, and sending a lot of folks back. And that's why you see these flights, because there are people getting out of the country. Right? Or at least one would hope. All right, over to Guantanamo Bay. This is interesting. Now this one is new, coming out of Palm Beach. I don't know what's going on. There seems to be a little bit of an uptick in terms of a classified hearing. It's not tied to the 9/11 stuff, but this aircraft, as you can see it, this B-190, has come out of Palm Beach a couple times now. So we've got it here on last Tuesday, last Thursday, and then again today on a Monday. There is no real tempo established with this one yet unless it repeats it. We'll continue to watch, but it's an interesting it's just an interesting data point, right? Because there's clearly stuff going on that island that is not related to 9/11. And so speaking of that, let's transition over. Yes. Miss Maxwell is basically being placed on suicide watch. So it sounds like she's about to be suicided. They're saying that she's getting threats internally from people that are within the jail system, and that is employees as well as inmates, and that she's basically in isolation wherever, supposedly at Manhattan's detention center. I don't know if I buy that or not, but nonetheless, she is on suicide watch. So would not be surprised to find her suicided here pretty soon. Very similar to what happened with this guy. And when that happens, we'll look at the flights and see if we have, just like we had with Epstein, flights that just all of a sudden arrived down at Guantanamo Bay right around the same time. So, okay. Now over to this one, just looking at the flat map for a second, just to get a quick count. It's showing 288 on screen. That's a pretty low number, really. And so 250 is about the average, right? So we're looking for, like on Friday, I think we were upward of 400. So for a Monday, just kind of getting started. Not too much to see there. Okay. All right. Well, listen, that is going to do it. Again, I think we're going to probably see, because of the announcement from NATO, we're probably going to see a very significant uptick in terms of troops getting sent abroad, which is going to leave us exposed here on the home front. Okay. And so we'll just continue to watch it. Just, you know, at any point now, folks, this stuff is going to go. It never fails. I don't see anything indicating we're backing down or anybody's backing down. So it's a matter of escalating to a point that somebody makes a mistake and we go hot. So, all right, listen, that's going to be it. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. Things, they are changing. That's it. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.